Umpire does have an option there if he thinks it's not a marking contest to pay a free kick to deliver it out of bounds.
We didn't have an opponent, Dwayne, so could have had to look at it.
Hanley, almost, not the second grab. Hodge strips it, danger, White cross, runs through the tackle, and from 35, squeezes it in.
His left foot. So he puts the foot down and thinks, if I can break the tackle, I can then straighten and kick on my natural foot. And that's what he was able to do. Good vision from Hodge. The hand pass releases him. Right there he just says, no, I'm going to take the tackler on. I think I can break it. And then a much better chance of finishing settled on your natural foot than under pressure on your opposite foot.
A long way from where he'd like to be, though. Keeps it low, power.
Dangerous kick.
Burgoyne right with him, and Mitchell seems to be in the right spot so often. Savage to Young, uses some toe. Torpedo inside 50, and that's a mark to Hale.
That's a super mark.
Back to the 1970s with those mongrel punts.
Now has to finish.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere near the left post.
Keeps it relatively low. It does bend late, but that was dazzling.
From centre half forward, just kills you. Mitchell was involved in it. I think that was Young who kicked that ball in, but it wasn't the greatest floating ball. But Hale did well to keep his eye on the ball here. We can see this come off the boot, and it's floating each way. And it just was it Niall McKeever just lost sight of the ball then. Cannot do that. Turn your back on it. You're out of the contest.
And they had a bit of luck rolling for them in the last 10 minutes of the second term. The Lions helped them get back into it. They could be blown back out of it quick smart here. Mitchell to Franklin. Off hands, Bailey lurking again, went off the deck. Got a piece of it. McKeever got it out just in time. Maguire, Patfull, Hanley, Brust. He just waltzed in front. Patfull. They've created the loose, but he sits it up for Jonathan Brown. Gibson's there. Brown, Burgoyne with the fist. Almost as good as a handball. Murphy. Shields. Tackled. Got it to Ellis. Hodge strong. Really passed that off rugby style. Osborne. What will Franklin do? Take them on. Back to Osborne. Maybe within range. Puopolo is within range. He takes his opportunity.
The only option to kick to was Sam Mitchell, who you can see leading bottom of screen. He's not the quickest player. He certainly isn't the tallest player. So Franklin thought rather than go for a low percentage Mitchell, who is not a regular leading forward, keep the ball in hand, draw and give. And that set up Osborne to give it to Puopolo, who kicks the goal. They just made something really out of what didn't appear to be a lot.
From the ball in. Off hands, Shields. He was the one that wanted it most. And he can't get it to bounce. McGrath. Oh, he took on Puopolo and lost. Fantastic tackle. Gives it up. Burgoyne, short, and Osborne takes the mark, just the required 15.
Doesn't look confident, Osborne, does he? It's a tough kick into the breeze from there.
48, strikes it nicely. Goal umpire did not move.
Really good finish. And just a couple of times this quarter, what the Hawks have done is not just kicked it long blindly or just kicked it straight to Franklin. They've identified other targets leading up, and it's starting to pay dividends. Gee, launched everything into it, didn't it?
So what, Puopolo, not just a hard-at-it player, but just a good tackler too.
Got Brown on the lead.
And puts it in front. Gibson again got there with a fist that is as good as a kick. Knocks it out to Birchall and provides a shepherd. Birchall wants to come inboard and does with ease. Smith. Franklin leads short. It's ignored. Now it's not. Brust instead.
It's an incredible closing speed, Josh Gibson on the lead.
I know Jonathan Brown's not super quick, but you're right. Been able to get his fist in a number of times.
He's had three different thoughts go through his mind. And he hits it wide instead. See what Birchall can do. And tries to take on Buick. He runs inside 50. And the Tasmanian misses. Reigns. Jonathan Brown with two to back.
again.
That Gibson fist and gathers his own work. They'd be down if not for Gibson. White cross. 15 points the margin. Hawthorn's way. Puopolo. That's a good grab. Thought about playing on. Thinks better of it. Easy within range. Doesn't like his chances. Sits it up for Hale. Oh, initial grab wasn't clean. He's got two, David Hale. This to push the margin back out to 21 points. And they've got some momentum back.
And if you look at the tightness of this game, there's Josh Gibson again. Gee, he's timed his run at the ball well when he had to be the third man up. And the other thing too, it's probably given him 5 to 6 possessions because he's always spoiled and then followed up and got the possession himself. Puopolo just wanted to go early but just bombs it in. And as you said, Buddy Franklin just took a lot of body work from the opposition. And Hale easy marking it.
Suckling. And he thumps at 70. Over the back to Brust, who can get and go. If it sits, and he's away. Puopolo peels back. He goes short. Shields instead. Smith the target if he wants him. He goes for Smith. Great spoil, Sheldon. Knocked it down. Smith to Puopolo. To Franklin. Tried the don't argue. Got the handball up just in time. Brust misses. Could have been a bit gun shy. Hang on, arguably the best forward in the game. Puopolo played for the free. Black got it. Gave it. Rockcliffe. Dangerous spot to kick it. White cross. He has the shot from 50. It's sailing. It's gone. All the way home.
He wanted to give the handball away early too, but then he makes a good decision. He knows the handball would just put his teammate under pressure, so he takes it back in. And from 50, that's a great finish. He is a very good kick normally, Brendan Whitecross.
Jonathan Brown tries to find a pass target. Simon Black. Leuenberger can't mark. And Burgoyne takes off. Uses some speed. Franklin the target. Maguire right with him again. Franklin got hands on it. Not free.
He's been paid a free kick for holding the arm.
Okay. And McGrath's injured a leg. He might be off and could be done for the day. Franklin plays on. He's got Birchall back out wide. He ignores that. Smith. Guerra runs to 50 to punch the margin outside 30 points.
Well, that's going to come in a couple of years in the gym. But when he gets this ball, he realised the hold. Guerra then gave him a forward pass, a handball, so the man on the mark could not pressure the kick. It was always going to go to Guerra, but just to hold a little bit more, allow Guerra to get in the kicking distance.
Final term, as Lee Colbert said, it's dropped a bit. Ellis floats it to Hale. Puopolo over the top. An amazing mark from the little man.
I reckon he's cheated a little bit using the hands to get up there.
I'm ready they pay it.
But they pay it if you take the mark, don't they, Shorey?
Yeah, I loved it.
There's something about a little bloke rising over the pack that is spectacular.
Matter of fact, I reckon we could nearly throw that rule out.
And he could have sealed victory with a spectacular mark and goal.
Look forward to a replay. You wonder how a little bloke like that gets up so high. I have a feeling he may have used the hands on the shoulder.
There it is. You've got to pay that, don't you? You have to pay that. Like, it really, well, it's a balance thing.
It's a free kick if he doesn't mark it, so should it be a free kick regardless?
Yeah, I know. I just love to see it because that's one part of our game we don't see, although I've seen a lot more of it this year.
The whole fourth spot on the ladder. Sam Mitchell, the general again. Franklin on the left, brings it back. And Dunt, the crowd love that.
I think he reads the play. That's what he does. And good shepherd too in the end. I think he was pushed into it. He wanted to avoid the physical contact because he still has to run around the shower to get wet. But he'll get better. As I said, I love the way he goes about it. Buddy, at the grind, we hope he just doesn't get another couple of late ones. He's done a good job on him. Yes.
The difference between him kicking the goal and not. Mitchell drives it wide and Puopolo gathers with 5 minutes left on the clock. Brust wants it long. The handball's wide. Savage kicks in the Brust direction. Franklin edged into it and still took the mark.
Somehow he just gets that reverse swing with the old ball.
Well, that's what he has ahead of him, and he shorts it. He fooled everybody. That's perfection. Whitecross.
He's helping with a lot more score assists now.
19th possession coming up for Brendan Whitecross. This for goal number 3 for him. Starts it nicely. It drifts a little, but he slots it. Final seconds, one last chance at a score for the Lions. Wide ball, Osborne hunts it, Power right with him. It didn't exactly go to the script we were expecting, but it ends up being the result most people were expecting. A handy victory to the Hawks on their home turf here at Aurora Stadium. 42 points the final margin. It wasn't the Lance Franklin show, but Hawthorn had other stars in other areas. 16-9-105 to 9-9-63. Sam Mitchell, another 34 possession game to go with the 34 possession game that he had last week. And Josh Gibson, 24 possessions to finish with, and he started especially early. And the Hawks would be reasonably happy with that.
Yeah, look, I think workmanlike's probably the best way to describe it. They had a pretty ordinary patch in the second quarter where they really allowed Brisbane in, and then again late in the third term, Brisbane closed things up. And those lapses of concentration would certainly annoy Alistair Clarkson, and he'll address that with the players. But all in all, they worked their way to a blue-collar win, I think, sure.
Yeah, no, look, they worked pretty hard. They set it up in the first quarter, of course, and should have nearly blown Brisbane out of the game. But to Brisbane credit, they didn't give this game up at all. There's some good signs for Brisbane, but as I said, they'll have the bye now, the Hawks, get it all together. A lot of their players, some of their class players, come back into this team after the break, which it's a good build-up to the final series.
And one of the stars of the show was Josh Gibson, who's downstairs with Lee Coleman.
Gibbo, that was tougher than it looked, I reckon. The scoreboard doesn't exactly reflect how hard it was.
Yeah, you're right, mate. We got out to a bit of a lead, and they really took it up just after that, and it was tough out there, and we're glad to get away with that one.
Savage with injuries all over the park, your boys, but you're getting bigger jobs each week, and none bigger than today.
Yeah, look, as a defender, you always want to play in the best, and I know I'm a little bit short, but I'm trying to do what I can.
Now, a little bit of kudos has got to go to your teammates, because I know Hodgie was back there at times, and Murphy as well, helping you out at times.
Yeah, definitely. They sit in that space in front of him, which makes it a little bit easier. So the middies in that pushing back in his hole and putting pressure on the kicker makes my job a lot easier.
Now, tell us about that black eye. I was worried about you last week. Now, today in that last term, you actually towed the ground. So 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'm struggling with depth perception, mate, so I couldn't see where I was kicking. But it was Maxi, friendly fire, so it is what it is.
Well, boy, the boys were into you last week about your good looks, so get in there and rest up.
Thanks, mate.
Josh Gibson, who is a good 7 centimetres shorter than Jonathan Brown, having a chat to Lee Colbert.
That's a snappy comeback. Depth perception issues after kicking the ground.
Yeah, very nice. Well, after playing in front of 85,000 last week, a bit of a change of scenery for the Hawks. Played in front of just 14,000 this week here at Aurora Stadium. But as opposed to last week, this week they get the 4 points. 16-9-105 for the Brisbane Lions. 9-9-63. We'll be back to wrap up straight after the break.